Giants fans, the 2023 NFL Draft is in the books, and in today's show, we're going to recap all of it. We're going to break down all 7 picks the Giants made. I'm going to give you my individual player grades for all of the new New York Football Giants, and then I'm going to grade Joe Schoen's second draft as a general manager. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel because we're going to continue to put out content about Big Blue every day for the rest of the year. So subscribe, lock us in, and let's go G-Men. You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/chat and use the promo code chat for 20% off and free shipping. We'll tell you more about our friends Manscaped coming up in a second, but you can go ahead and click that link. It's down in the comments and description of today's show. So the draft is in the rearview mirror. The Giants, they made 7 selections. They traded up twice throughout the draft process. They moved up from pick 25 to pick 24 to select Deonte Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. Then, in my opinion, they had the number 1 center in the draft fall to them, John Michael Schmitz, in the second round. And then they traded up in the third round, up to pick 73 to select Jalin Hyatt, the big play wide receiver out of Tennessee. Then you selected a really shifty running back, Eric Gray, the running back out of Oklahoma. Then you selected Tre Hawkins, kind of the project cornerback out of Old Dominion. We'll talk about him. Then you took Jordon Riley, the big fella up front on the defensive line out of Oregon. And then with the last pick of the draft, you selected Gervarrius Owens out of the University of Houston. Go Cougs. Shout out H-Town, hardly home, but always reppin'. In today's show, we're going to break down all these guys. I'll give you my grades, and I'll grade the draft in total. But I want to ask you guys this question first. What was your favorite pick, of the draft that Joe Schoen picked? Who is it? Give me a name down in the comments section. If I had to say my favorite, I'd probably either go John Michael Schmitz or Jalin Hyatt, just because the need and the value met perfectly, and it was an awesome selection. But I want to hear from you down in the comments section. Let's start with Deonte Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. I give this an A overall grade. The pick and the need, it met in the middle. I thought Deonte Banks was the 4th best corner going into this draft. I thought you could have took Joey Porter Jr. and stood pat at pick number 25. But obviously a couple more people passed up on him in the first round. And I love Deonte Banks. 6 foot, 200 pounds, ran a 4.3 40, 40-plus inch vertical. And he's someone that is going to be a plug-and-play player right away, and he fits the scheme perfectly for Wink Martindale. Had 38 tackles, 1 interception, and 8 pass breakups last year for Maryland. I think he's going to fit perfectly in this scheme, and it definitely makes the Giants a better defensive backfield. Last year, the Giants had to rely on too many journeyman veterans. Guys like Fabian Morrow had to be players, and when Adoree Jackson got hurt, you really were razor thin at that position. With the pick of Deonte Banks, you filled a really, really big need. The second pick, John Michael Schmitz, I give this one an A+. I believe you got the best center in the draft in the second round with the 57th selection, but you also filled a major need. He is going to be your day 1 starter. Sure, he'll have to beat out Ben Bredeson in camp, but I believe when the Giants are on the field for week 1 of the 2023 season, John Michael Schmitz is going to be your starting center. He has consistent technique along with good smarts. Only played center with the Golden Gophers, which is something that I actually like. I like that he is a center through and through. He's played center, and he is a specialist at that position, a former wrestler. He really understands leverage, has a really strong punch, and he has great grip strength. When he gets inside of the players he's blocking, he doesn't let them go. I think he's going to be a great player for this Giants team, and he could be your starting center for a really, really long time. I think this was the best value and best pick the Giants and Joe Schoen made. They traded up in round 3 from pick 89 to 73. It did sacrifice them their 4th round pick, but in my opinion, you got the most explosive pass catcher in the 2023 NFL draft, and that fills a huge need for the New York Football Giants, because when you think about it, the Giants were the least explosive pass offense in the NFL last year, and Jalin Hyatt, he is going to solve that problem, because all he did down in in Knoxville last year was catch touchdowns for the Tennessee Volunteers. 15 tutties, 19 yards per catch, a long catch of 78 yards, 67 grabs on the season, almost 1,300 yards. And what I like about him is he played in a conference that was tough, and when he played his best, it was against the best competition. 6 receptions, 228 yards, and 5 touchdowns versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. Does he need to probably become a more polished route runner? Yes, but he really wasn't asked to do that in Tennessee. They just asked him to run vertical routes. I think he can run routes. Watching some film and some workouts leading up until the NFL draft, predominantly operated out of the slot, but it's not like your traditional slot for the Tennessee Volunteers. They run a Mickey Mouse offense where they pretty much have people motion sideline to sideline, and they're getting stacked on the boundary of the field and just getting vertical. He got open a lot of times, and pretty much every time just because he ran right by opposing DBs. He's extremely fast. We'll have to get better about getting off the press, but man, you got the most explosive player in this draft at pick 73. The Giants and Joe Schoen, they started off red hot in this draft. We'll break down the rest of the players coming up in a second, but I got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/chat and use the promo code chat and get 20% off and free shipping. My favorite item that they now have is the beard trimmer. It is awesome. You can get the Lawnmower 4.0, the beard hedger, the Lawnmower 4.0. They mastered the balls, as I would like to say, and they moved above the waistline and now operate with the beard hedger. So if you want to keep your beard looking fresh in between visits to the barber shop, you could do that with the beard hedger. There's 20 different lengths on the hedger, and you don't have to move off all of these guards and have a drawer full of guards and clips like this. You just roll the dial to the right a little bit. If you want it longer, if you want it shorter, you roll it to the left. Manscaped has been taking care of Chat Sports for quite some time. I have all of their products, and they are awesome, and it's helping me out in the bedroom. You know what I'm talking about. Go to manscaped.com/chat and use the promo code chat and get 20% off. I want to give a huge shout out to Manscaped for sponsoring all of the NFL draft here at Chat Sports. We want to say thank you, and we're glad that you're sponsoring today's video on New York Giants. Now, the Giants went with a running back in the 5th round, Eric Gray, the running back out of Oklahoma. When I did my initial reaction video, I'm going to be honest, I hadn't watched all that much tape on him. I watched a little bit of tape. I looked at what some other people said. When I sat down after the pick, I started to like the pick, maybe more than I initially thought, and maybe I'm just talking myself into that pick. But Eric Gray is a special type of player. He is someone that makes a lot of people miss. He is a guy that makes people miss in the open field. He's got that dead leg where he can put it in the ground, get north and south, evade tacklers. Not the fastest guy in the world. He's 5'9", 205 pounds, doesn't run with extreme physicality, but he's someone that is a home run hitter. He had like 20 runs over 15 yards this past season. He breaks a whole bunch of tackles. He averaged over 6 yards per pop. I'm a big fan of him. He was great for Tennessee for the first 2 years of his career. He's kind of out of the shuffle and out of the rotation his junior year at Oklahoma, his first year there. But his last year, this past year, he went for 1,300 yards, 6.4 yards per tote, 11 touchdowns. And he's also a solid receiving back as well. Just a really good football player. And I think he's going to be a great complementary piece to Saquon Barkley going down the road. In round 6, the Giants went with a long, lengthy, athletic corner, and that is Tre Hawkins out of Old Dominion. I give this pick a C, just an average pick. That's what I would give the grade C. Look, at the spot you got him at, you can't be mad about it, and I like the pick of Tre Hawkins. Last year, he had 57 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles. The year before this most recent year, so last year as I would like to call it, he led Old Dominion in tackles. He's 6'1" and 7/8 inches, so he's 6'2", 200 pounds, runs a 4.4 40, has really long arms, and he is a Wink Martindale project. He's your prototypical build at the cornerback position. I'm excited about this pick. I think he'll be able to contribute really early on special teams, but as he continues to mold and grow into his body and hang out around Adoree Jackson and all the other pros on this roster, I think he's going to get better and better. It's definitely a dart throw at this point, but I like the pick of Tre Hawkins, no doubt about it. I give it a C overall. Doesn't mean I hate it, but I do like it a grade of C. In round 7 with the 243rd selection, Joe Schoen added some size to the interior defensive line with Jordon Riley. He is almost 6'6". He weighs in at 338 pounds. He started 13 games last year for the Oregon Ducks. He had 20 tackles, a tackle and a half for loss, a half a sack. This is someone that I think is going to have to compete to make this roster, maybe him versus DJ Davidson, but I like how the Giants are adding some size to the interior defensive line. We've seen that through the offseason with A'Shawn Robinson, Rakeem Nunez-Roches, and now Jordon Riley as another big body up front on the D-line for Big Blue. With the last selection of the draft, pick number 254 for the Giants, not Mr. Irrelevant, but the last pick that the Giants made was Gervarrius Owens, the safety out of Houston. He's 6 foot and 3/8 inches. He weighed in at 195 pounds. I thought he was a pretty dang good player. The 18th ranked safety, 224th overall player in the class. He had 42 career starts for the Cougs. Ran a 4.57 40, which isn't great, but the rest of his testing was pretty good. 37.5-inch vertical. Very high motor player. But the reason I give this pick a B overall is because he played in 361 special team snaps, meaning he could come in and be an immediate impact player on the special teams side of the football. There's 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams, and it definitely can win you some games. It can lose you some games as well. We saw that last year for the New York Giants. Gervarrius Owens is probably going to be a special team specialist early on in his NFL career with Big Blue. Love the fact that he has a lot of experience on that side of the football. Before I give you my grade for this complete draft by Joe Schoen, this is your turn to light up the comment section. Let me know. Be the judge of Joe Schoen in the front office. How did they do in their second draft? Grade it for me, A, B, C, D, or F. For me, I give it an A overall. I think through the first 3 rounds of this draft, nobody really had a better draft than the New York Giants. You could say the Seattle Seahawks, you could say the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I feel like the Giants got great players at great points in the draft value and at positions of need. Coming into this draft, the Giants had huge holes at corner, center, and wide receiver. I think you got a top 4 corner in this draft, maybe number 3 overall. I think you got the best center in this draft, and you got the most explosive, most dynamic, home run hitting wide receiver in Jalin Hyatt. I also love the running back pick out of Oklahoma. The more I watch his tape, the more I'm starting to fall in love with this guy. He's extremely shifty. He's someone that can make you miss in the open field, forced a whole bunch of missed tackles this past year. I'm a fan. I like what the Giants did, but you don't win games in April. It now comes down to coaching, getting these guys in the right spot, putting them in position to be effective, and have them ready and healthy to play when the Giants step on the field when September rolls around. I think Joe Schoen has had an incredible offseason so far. We know all the additions he made, Darren Waller and Bobby Okereke, really highlighting those, but this draft is an A overall for Joe Schoen. I almost went A+, but I didn't want to be drinking too much of the Kool-Aid, so I'm going to go with an A. Joe Schoen, you did a great job. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. That's tuned in all weekend long with our NFL draft coverage. We appreciate you guys. If you made it this far in the video, be a real one. Hit that thumbs up icon.